One of my family's favorite pasta dishes and probably the fastest meal you'll ever cook besides peanut butter sandwiches. This is a cherry tomato and basil pasta. It's loaded with creamy, cheesy, satisfying goodness. Let's get started. So the first thing I do is I'm going to slice my shallots and my garlic. Pop this big garlic clove open. This is a big one, about 5 garlic. It's probably overkill, you can do less. Now this is an easy dish, so if you want to make it even easier, you can absolutely just use a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a little bit over a quarter teaspoon of onion powder. I prefer the flavor of the garlic and the shallots. It's a little bit milder, a little bit sweeter, and a little bit fresher. So that's what we're going to go with, and we're going to slice these guys up, mince my garlic, and slice my shallot, and set them aside. Now, I prefer to cut it just because I like playing with my knife. There is no taste value in cutting it over using a garlic press that I have found. So if you want to use a garlic press, just shell these things and have them sitting there ready to press them in. It actually might even make it a little better, but then I don't get to play with my knife, and I like to play with my knife. On your shallots, there's not a shallot press, so you're not going to get to save any time there. And I will just cut straight down in half, and then I will generally just score the top just a little bit so that I can peel it off easier. Take off that outer layer. One other thing, if I ever see any green in here, I don't like green, so I will just grab it with the tip of my knife, pull it out, and then pull that off, and now no green cord in the middle. That's the benefit of cutting them in half, is we get to get that little out. Sometimes it can taste off, especially with garlic, it can be a little bitter. But with the shallot, you just peel it out just like that. And we're gonna cut it the same way we would a garlic, by just putting our hand up on top. I kind of use 3 fingers here because it's just easier to hold it than laying my hand flat. And remember, this is how thick you want your little slices. So cut it across that way, and then we're going to come down from this side, not cutting all the way through. You want to leave a little bit at the back so that it doesn't come apart, because that little root is going to hold it together so that we can get a good mince on it. And then we're just going to come across here, really easy. Using our finger like the real chef taught us. And we have a beautifully minced little shallot there. Well, half of a shallot. I'll drop these in on the other half as my garlic, because these should not go in at the same time. The shallot needs to go in just a little bit before the garlic, because that garlic only cooks about 30 seconds in the heat before it's done. Whereas the shallot, a good 90 seconds to 2 minutes is a little bit better. A huge thank you to Upside for sponsoring today's video. If you're the kind of person that buys gas, buys groceries, or eats out, then you're gonna wanna hear about this. This free app that I've been using lets me earn cash back on things that I was already gonna buy, like gas, groceries, and dining out. It's called Upside, and it's been a game changer. Not points, not credits, just real cash that I can send straight to my bank account. It's super simple. You open the app, select an offer, pay with your card like usual, and then that cash back shows up right in your Upside account. There's over 100,000 gas stations, restaurants, and grocery stores on the app, so there's always a way to earn. Some people are earning up to $300 a month with the Upside app. I've used mine for family dinners, groceries, even a couple coffee dates with my wife. But the question is, what would you do with a little extra income? Download the free Upside app and use my code BATESKITCHEN to get an extra $10 back on your first restaurant or grocery purchase. Scan the QR code on your screen right now and start earning cash back on things that you're already buying with the Upside app. Now, if there's one kind of cooking I like fast cooking. Meals that I can make fast. And my wife really likes fast cooking, because that means I'm out of the kitchen sooner and we can get the house back to normal and cleaned up. But I see all the people online doing this thing where they put the deli lids, instead of slicing, I tell you to slice a whole thing of cherry tomatoes, and you're gonna sit there and do like that. That takes forever. So they'll put the 2 deli lids together, and I never have deli lids. I don't even have a sour cream lid in the house. But if you will just put your hand flat, keep your hand flat on a little pile about what fits in your palm of tomatoes, put your knife straight, you can just go straight across like this, and it won't cut you, and boom, you slice just as many tomatoes and no extra tools. Now, an easy way to dress this up, because I love to dress things up, but Whitney's like, look, keep it simple. Tell people how to dress it if they want to. I'm going to do an elevated version of this too, because I really love elevating this. It's so easy. It's so simple just to throw together and cook really quick with the simple ingredients of cherry tomatoes, basil, and the garlic and shallot, or even using garlic powder. But I love to add in a meat, Italian sausage, mushrooms, and spinach added to this are a complete and total game changer. I'll even use the little campanelli noodles, or however you say that, the little ones that look like little angel's trumpets. It is so good, and it looks like you went to a fancy Italian restaurant. It looks so good, it tastes so amazing, and I just love the elevation of adding the Italian sausage and the mushrooms. But regardless, this is just as good and so simple, so fast. You'll literally make dinner in less time than it'll take you to watch this video. And we'll pull a few thyme leaves over here. One last thing I almost forgot. You can't have Italian food without Parmesan cheese. Now, anytime you want to make something look a little creamier, you can add some cream cheese or something like that, but I prefer just the Parmesan with the cream base. Let's head to the stovetop. And it is time to drop our pasta in. That was supposed to look a lot better than that. The Italians are going to be mad enough about what we've done with their pasta, we don't need to break their noodles too. So the pasta cooks in 10 minutes. That means we got 10 minutes to make a sauce. Start with some olive oil. We're gonna blister these tomatoes real quick. As I mentioned, my favorite way to make this is with the Italian sausage and mushrooms and spinach. In that way, you would start with your Italian sausage. Once it was done, remove it from the pan, pull in your garlic and shallots, and then add your tomatoes and spinach last. Tomatoes first and spinach. This time we really don't have to do that because we're just blistering these real good. Cherry tomatoes are great for the texture, but they're not going to add an amazing tomato taste because they're just not as strong. They're good and sweet, which is something nice for pasta. We're not going to use any sugar in this sauce. But to get that real tomato sauce, we're going to use some tomato paste. Now I'm going to pour these aside. You do not have to. You can leave them in the pan and just push them aside, but they're easy to overcook. So a little more dash of olive oil. So we're going to go back in the pan with our shallots. Oops, my garlic ran down there. Oh well, it's coming shortly. Now it's time to add in our garlic. I'm also going to add my tomato paste, and we're going to brown this up a little bit. Good tablespoon or two. I'm starting to smell that garlic, so I'm going to go ahead and mix in this tomato paste with it. And just let it darken just a little bit. So now I've let our tomato paste cook a little bit. I'm going to pull our tomatoes back in. You can see they're kind of wilted down really good, and it's got enough water in those to help deglaze it a little bit. If not, and you're a little too dark, you can add in a little chicken broth or even a little of your pasta water will help deglaze the bottom of your pan real good. And it's time for the heavy whipping cream. To help with the cream, I like to start with a little bit of butter and pour in our heavy whipping cream. You can also use milk if you want to. So we'll let this cook down until it just about leaves a trail, and what we're looking for is when we come across the back that it'll leave a trail, or it'll kind of coat pretty good, coat a spoon pretty good, and stay thick. That's the sound of our pasta. I always set my timer 1 minute ahead of when my pasta will be ready so that I don't have to rush, and if something's going on, I know I have a minute or so to check it. That's the earliest timer. Let's check and see if our pasta is actually ready. It can be a little bit before al dente because it still is going to be in that hot sauce. I mean, that's perfect. Now, if you don't want to go through the trouble of mixing of cutting all the herbs, the basil and thyme and everything, about a tablespoon of Italian seasoning in here has everything you need. Make it even faster. We're going to turn our heat off. We're going to start adding in our Parmesan. Now, if you had a long time, you would pop your noodles off. You could put them in an ice bath to keep them from cooking, but we're still pretty firm on the al dente side. So I've got just enough time to mix in this Parmesan before they're overdone. And of course, you can tell by the amount of cheese that obviously why this is one of Whitney's favorites. She loves a cheesy pasta, and this is extremely cheesy. Going through the spoons pretty quick over here, but I think we're there now. And that's perfection. That's also why you taste your dishes before you serve them. I would have been disappointed to hand out an unsalted pasta. So now we're going to pull some of this in here. I don't know if this is tossable or not. I'm very tempted to try, just for the sake of that I'm filming. I'm tempted. Whew, that scares me. Now, when you first put it in there, it'll seem very saucy, but as it sits for a few minutes, you'll notice it may start drying up as those noodles, the more quality noodles you get, are going to absorb some of that sauce. So there's no reason not to save your pasta water, add a little bit of pasta water back in and remix it. When it's ready to serve, we have a few left over of our tomatoes that spilled out, so those will look really good right in there. We'll spread our fresh basil over it, keeping a little bit for the individual plating, and our fresh parm. And we have a wonderful little one-pot dish ready to go. So this is my personal favorite way to serve this. And you just roll it in your little tongs. Well, if it wasn't broken, it would roll a little better. We'll have to chase it over here with this. Generally grab out a few little tomatoes. Surprisingly enough, my kids actually love this, and the sauce tastes better than any store-bought sauce. I don't buy store-bought sauce anymore because why, when I can make a better sauce? And this started as a pantry meal. It was just something that we ain't gonna starve to death and we wanted something good to eat. A little too much parm on there, sorry guys. But that's the idea, and this is my favorite pasta. Okay, and the moment I've been waiting for like 10 minutes. We can catch this one last noodle. Oh, look at that. Packaged it nicely. Now that is pasta that you can be proud of. It is amazing. It tastes fresh. It tastes cheesy, especially that fresh basil in there. I love this. One bite, you're gonna thank me later.